Good evening, everybody. Welcome to tonight's Safety and Operations Committee meeting. I am taking attendance, and we'll move right into the presentation. So we'll go to, here's our agenda for tonight. It looks like a lot, but we've got some good conversation to be had and some discussion, but I think we should move through this relatively smoothly. So Chief Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Weaver. First thing we wanted to touch on, we mentioned this the last few months, we have an agreement reviewed by Mr. Subers with Perkiomen Township with regards to our school police having the ability to issue citations for parking violations on the campus in Perkiomen Township. So this would only apply to the schools here on campus within Perkiomen Township. Any fines generated from these would be split between the township and the school district with 80-20 split. We would get 80% of the income. Township would take 20% as an administrative fee. It doesn't really amount to a whole lot of money. That's not the purpose for doing this, but it's to give us the ability to move vehicles out of the way, keep fire lanes clear, things of that nature when we have large-scale events here, which previously was a challenge with regards to the state police because they didn't always enforce municipal regulations. So this particular agreement, which will be available, we'd like to see approved, and we'll present that for the board at the beginning of the March meeting, if that's acceptable.
So this would apply only to fire lanes, is that?
Yeah, so what it's basically doing is deputizing the school police officers as deputy fire marshals, which gives us the ability to do that. And we can act under the authority of Mr. Moran within the township. So he could assign other duties, but that's not likely at this point unless there was a really large-scale event or something going on.
Okay.
And it wouldn't pertain to, excuse me, any traffic violations or anything off of campus. That's still out of our reach. That's something we work with the state police on.
Okay, so I just, to clarify, because parking is sometimes challenging.
Mm-hmm. And we recognize that.
Yeah, right. And so if there are situations where there are cohorts en masse needing to.
Right. So we're going to be working on the education piece of this.
Okay.
More so than the enforcement piece, but that's not the goal here.
Okay.
So the fire lanes, for instance, Campus Drive, High School Drive are both marked on one side as a fire lane and on another side it's open.
Right.
But we create a problem when we end up having parking on both sides. So those are things that, again, through education and addressing at particular events, we can, work around those. But if push comes to shove, we have the ability to issue a citation. I don't see this happening a lot.
Okay.
But to get Mr. Moran to come out on a regular basis was a little bit challenging to have some more authority. And people knew we didn't have the authority to do that, so, sometimes it was a little.
Yeah, noted. I just, there would be like a learning curve, as you mentioned.
Absolutely.
So I'm wondering maybe proactively if there's then been discussion of maybe putting cones up, or rather than issue a citation, maybe put a warning on a windshield.
Absolutely. And we've been doing, you mentioned cones, so the use of the secondary football field, for example, opposite the stadium in the afternoons and evenings, that gets pretty tight through there.
Yep.
And we've been trying to educate. We've had our evening shift security people out there. We've placed cones out. It's getting better.
Yeah.
But sometimes
the youth groups kind of take over there. Okay.
So we're just, again, education is going to be our primary focus, but this is just another piece of that if we need to do it.
Okay. I just don't want a windfall of anger.
Yeah.
Without like a warning,
Yeah. Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And I'll talk with Dr. Parr about putting some things on our social media to educate people about these areas are for particular parking or not.
Okay, and then maybe once in the approval, Dr. Russell can also include it in her update as well.
Sure, absolutely.
Okay, and then in her email. Okay, great.
Cool.
I have a question as well. It seems to me that a lot of times it's the outside of school hours that, as we just discussed, that it's the biggest issue, particularly on weekend events where there are a lot of people coming from outside of our district to the district. That's where I've noticed it being the biggest problem. So is somebody on patrol, through the weekend whenever there's events taking place?
Depending on the scope of the event, we'll have some of the school police officers on. So larger athletic events, band activity, things of that nature. We just had the indoor guard percussion, last weekend, and, we had a good conversation with Mr. Oberholzer and his team about, educating people, and that's our goal. If we need to bring somebody in to do that, and Mr. Moran wouldn't be otherwise available, we could potentially do that. I don't see it happening frequently. But again, our focus is to educate ahead of time. So whatever those events are, just to issue reminders, hey, let's not park in the fire lane. Graduation's a tight program for us and every other district, so just those things.
Okay. Are you pursuing this at any of the other locations with other municipalities, or it's
Yeah, we have
focused
to,
be here?
actually, this came into play when Mr. Moran approached me and said, hey, would the district be interested in this? And I said, well, I'd be happy to offer our team, but I have to get the approval and all that. So the other townships can certainly piggyback on this agreement with their own if they decide to do so. Yeah, but
And then-
there has to be one for each jurisdiction.
And it's only the officers, not our security guards, who are
Right,
able to do this?
right.
Okay.
But the security guards could issue the warning, as you mentioned. We can come up with some kind of a structure to just, let people know, or even a flyer of some sort. Hey, you're in a fire lane, that kind of thing.
Okay,
So,
great.
Okay, so we'll move that forward for formal board approval in March. Thank you.
just a quick update on the Raptor system that we've been talking about, and the Raptor Emergency Management suite of services that they have. So Dr. Nicholson, Dr. Sachs, and I met within the last month. Dr. Nicholson made a presentation during an administrative instructional meeting recently, so we're working through 4 of the buildings right now to get this program rolled out, and we'll continue to chip away at each building to get it in the hands of our staff so that they can work with it, understand how it plays into their preparedness and their accountability, and keep moving forward with that. So we have trainings that we're going to set up with these particular buildings in the order in which it's available to us with them, and we should have continued updates for you as that moves along. So, Dr. Nicholson, I don't know if you have anything you want to add?
No, nothing specific to add other than the fact that, the 4 buildings are, excited for the prospect of streamlining the system and making sure that students are safe and accounted for during drills and ultimately during emergency protocols. So it's a good suite of systems, and there was a lot of energy behind it, so we're looking forward to moving it forward.
Thank you, Dr. Nicholson. And then the last thing I have under the safety piece is the grant monies we received from the IU for training. We'll be having that first wave of training next week during our half-day in service. So we focus primarily on our Title I cafeteria, recess, and lunch monitoring staff. So we have about 30 staff from across the district that will be attending this first wave of training. Again, it'll be on the afternoon of Wednesday the 25th. And then we'll offer a second offering to the same group, and then outreach a little further to our CERT team, our cardiac team, hopefully for the March and April dates that are on the calendar with regards to instructional days. And if there's no questions, that's all I have.
Thank you, Chief Miller. Don't go far. Okay, operations, Mr. Fabrizio. So I will take this first part. I'll take that back. Okay, so in November, we had a presentation from Bob Hartman, who was here for digital scoreboards. And I think generally, the presentation went fairly well. The link is still there for the presentation. I'm not going to regurgitate that. However, I wanted to bring it back to the committee to get full recommendation and approval for this to move this forward. And to answer any questions that you may have had at that time. For a quick synopsis, we work with Digital Scoreboard, and the purpose is for us to get 2 digital scoreboards in the competition gymnasium. The main impetus behind this is the fact that PIAA is mandating that all schools have to have shot clocks in the upcoming 2027 school year. So we're trying to be ahead of that. 27, 28, is that correct? Oh, 28, 29, okay. School year. So in doing the due diligence, Mr. Felty made contact with Mr. Hartman, who works for Digital Scoreboards, and worked out some sort of a proposal that might help us offset the cost of the installation of these scoreboards, gather some additional revenue streams into the future, and meet the requirements of the state. The full presentation is there. Again, I'm not going to do that. Yes, I have a second slide here that kind of summarizes everything. And keep in mind that some of these dollars are still being worked out, because I just talked to Mr. Hartman today. We're working up the back end of the contract, and the numbers are a little bit better than proposed. And I think essentially the first part there, this is what we received, the two digital scoreboards for competition gymnasium. That includes design, bidding, installation, and software package associated with the technology, and ongoing maintenance and updates. And digital scoreboards, as a result of that, they get a 7-year contract if approved by the school board, and also a 75-25 split for advertising. So they must meet the criteria of our sponsorship and advertising policies under 913.1, I believe. For this, we have an initial payment of $35,000. That's on the slide, but I understand it could be slightly lower at this point in time, closer to $30,000. And at the end of that, we receive a chunk of money back on June 30. Then in years 2 through 7 of that, whatever that payment is in July, we get back at the end of June, at the end of that fiscal year as well. And that last bullet point, I've just been told by Mr. Hartman, should be part of that $35,000. So again, it's an ongoing kind of situation which we hope to have in place and in order for school board presentation. So I will certainly open it up for questions. Mr. Hartman is here. I don't want to regurgitate the entire presentation. If we have to, we will. EJ.
No, apologies, because I wasn't part of the initial presentation. Don't need to have it fully regurgitated, just 2 initial questions. One is, are there any funds from Pennsylvania, since this is a PIAA requirement? Or it's just they're forcing us to do it?
Yeah, they always throw us money when they.
That is I think they call those
Ask a stupid question, right?
unfunded mandates. I think they call those unfunded mandates.
Unfunded mandate, okay. Okay, cool. Just wanted to make sure that was stated. And then the second part is, the reimbursement schedule, is that predicated on the assumption of superior revenues through the ad stream?
I turned it off, not on. Not at all. So if you have the opportunity to look at the presentation and the proposals, you'll see our complete language, right? We are guaranteeing, and just to update what Mr. Weaver had said. So when I was here in November, since then we've been able to streamline, I'll call it our supply chain. So at that time we were $25,000 a year plus $7,900 for shot clock, $4,900 for backboard lights. Looking at other proposals this week, we were able to make yours even better. Now our number is $20,900, so about $4,100 less. And the bill shot clock is $6,500, backboard lights $3,400. So just as a minor edit to the slide, which we've conversed on, year 1 would be $20,900 plus $9,900, so just over $30,000. Every year we are guaranteeing $20,900. If we don't raise a penny in your community in advertising, you are getting $20,900. It's contractually obligated in the language on the contract. If we don't sell a penny in advertising, you are getting $20,900 every year on your investment. When we get to a point when we pay the $20,900 back, which is obviously upfront advertising costs and net ad revenue, we split that 25-75. So you get 25% on the net wow, I'm really struggling with that. Net ad revenue every year. So that will stack itself. We try to get businesses to 3-year agreements. So you'll know in year 1, minimally for 3 years, this is what you're looking at, but we continue to obviously try to sell that. But every penny you give us, we give you back over 7 years. Year 1, you give us $20,900. At the end of the year, we guarantee that back. At the end of the 7th year, the last payment is $20,900 plus 25%. You're whole. So your board net revenue, or net cost is zero, and any profit on that revenue. And then after the 7-year mark,
That's 7 years, though. I
no,
guess
it
that's
does
my-
not include the shot clock. So year one, you're paying the additional shot clock price. Ideally, you're getting that money back in the ad revenue over the next few years, if not the first year. That's the goal, right? Within the package, we're giving you 7-year parts, 7-year labor warranty. All right, that's awesome. No one's going to give you that in the industry. 2 years on periphery things. This is iPad based, so you'll get a 2-year warranty on iPads. In addition, the one change from the last one is we have this program called DS Academy. It's teaching teachers and kids how to create content, how to use the boards as an educational tool. We've changed that from 7 years to 1 year because, quite honestly, once we get people ramped up and get them learning, you're paying for something you don't use. So if you like it after year one and you want to add it on, we can add that on. But, I mean, in a robust school district like this, where you probably already have some similar programs, we're just looking to enhance it and get kids engaged and kids involved. You know, in your gym, you know, Mr. Weaver talked about it as scoreboards. It should be used 2 or 3 hours a day as a scoreboard. It should be used at 8 hours a day as a curriculum piece, or on the weekends for indoor guard or drumline or any of those activities. It's a phenomenal tool for that as well. So it is a scoreboard. It can function as a scoreboard. It can function as so much more outside of that.
I have a couple questions as well. Jim, I'm just curious, with the scoreboard that was put in at the football stadium, how are we doing as far as ad revenue on that? And is that structured with a similar type of package, or how is that one set up?
So the bulk of the cost of that scoreboard was covered by an agreement with St. Luke's. They paid us $137,000 over 3 years to cover the cost of that.
They paid us?
They paid us, yes.
Okay.
So we were made essentially neutral on
Okay.
that cost. In addition, we do have advertising. Every year we've had the 2 spots covered in sponsorship donations. CM3 was the first 3 years out, $15,000, $5,000 a year. The first year we had was blank. The second year we had the dentist there for $5,000, and that was a 1 year. They thought they would see how it worked for them, and I guess it didn't generate a lot of stuff for them, so they're not renewing. So we've got to remove that, so we have an open spot there as well. So I guess we've made $20,000 in advertising revenue
Okay.
since we've put
So-
that scoreboard in, and it was neutral at the end of the day.
And then if I'm understanding this relationship correctly, Digital Scoreboards, Inc. is responsible for obtaining the advertisements?
That's correct.
And then, let's say, for example, so we have control over that, everything's still going to be complying with our commercialism in schools policy?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
And then, let's say somebody, do we have any type of structure, let's say, I don't know, somebody's selling Girl Scout cookies and, you know, just within the, or somebody in the schools selling pizzas as a fundraiser or something. Can they put an ad up on that with, you know, just as being part of a school entity, or how do we work that?
Yeah, go ahead, Bob.
Yeah, I can gladly. So we're going to go out and get ads for you and generate revenue, but I would encourage you to let whatever organization you like, PTO, Girl Scouts, whatever club you have, to give that stuff to them for nothing, right? Use it as community engagement. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to engage the community, make events better, not just athletic events, but everything. Absolutely. And don't charge them if you don't give it away. Birthday messages, whatever. You completely have the flexibility to do that. We are not going to tell you you need to run this ad. We're going to give you templates, and Bob's workers are going to hit a button and they're going to pop up in and around games, not in the way of, but around them.
Well, I'm imagining like your contracts with the advertisers, you're going to have a certain number of views per dollar, right? You're going to say, okay, we guarantee you 2,000 views over the next 30 days or something like that. Is that correct?
Yeah, so that's absolutely the model.
So then we have to comply with that then?
Yeah, and quite honestly, we're not selling it as 2,000 views per week or month, but the program generates the analytics that we go and say, look at the value for being on the all basketball season. Your advertisement ran 8,410 times. So that generates value, right? We print out and we have the analytics that we take to local vendors so they can see the worth. So you're spot on with your questions and your thoughts, but all that stuff we handle for you.
But then, are we contracted to make sure there's a certain number of impressions?
No.
No? Okay.
That just honestly happens organically. You'll meet those. We'll exceed those numbers because, as an example, Mr. Weaver talked about St. Luke's. So I was the former athletic director at Whitehall High School. St. Luke's is also a sponsor there. We had a brand wrapper on the bottom of the board that ran all the time, and so we got 2 title sponsors, and they flipped every 10 seconds. And so every time it flips, it's an impression. And in a basketball game, it may do it 300 times, right? That stuff just builds up, and we've never not been responsive to the vendor. Thank you.
So I appreciate you coming back out for the part 2, because the time frame between November and now, we have some different players. Dr. Nicholson is here, who has some historical knowledge, I think, just of the process in general and application to these types of this type of technology in his old district. And then Mr. McGuire and Mrs. Lofton are here as well. So I appreciate the return trip. The lead time I wrote down back in November is about 8 to 10 weeks from purchase order to receipt.
From contract to installation
To installation,
is
okay.
8 to 10 weeks on average.
Which
We've
is
not out.
Really solid lead time, actually, So I
We're
appreciate.
beating our competitors by at least 4 weeks.
Yeah, I was going to say it's probably 16 weeks to me would be
Yeah.
the amount of time that I would think
Yeah.
normal is normal. The thing that I feel, and I appreciate the way it's broken out kind of in stages with a return on investment and a break-even point. I think those are all really valuable. The thing that I am struggling with is the timing, because I think given like budget constraints for this year, looking into next year, we're in the middle of that process right now. As far as capital projects go, we have really a very, very robust laundry list of things that we need to accomplish. And so the lead time, not that it will never change, again, to me, means that this is not a must-have for next school year, but for the following year, I think, obviously, to be compliant with PIAA, I can see this time next year having this conversation.
Well, so my question to that is, if it actually winds up being revenue neutral, I'm thinking about like how you budget for the ESCOs. Like ultimately, we know it's going to be revenue neutral for us, even though we're fronting money for us. So I'm just curious, from a budgetary standpoint, knowing we're putting money out, but we're getting a good chunk of it back, and we're actually physically getting money back as opposed to, ooh, we didn't spend as much on our electric bill this year, right? So
Yes, absolutely, and I think that that's a very good point, and that's one of the reasons why we brought it forward, because, not necessarily because of PIAA, that was the impetus when Mr. Felty found that, but I still think it's a good deal for us from a budgetary perspective. The outlay of the cash, even with the shot clock package and all that kind of stuff, yes, that's part of it, but I do believe that the advertising revenue, the 25-75 split, could very easily cover that. So again, I think, and then that's ongoing into perpetuity.
I mean, I don't think it needs to be on the March agenda, but, I think maybe as we see how pieces of our budget come together this spring, maybe it's something.
I think that's what I'm getting at,
Okay.
especially because this initial 35,000, to me, in the scheme of a whole budget, 35,000 is not a lot, but 35,000 could take care of a lot of things in this building that I'm assuming we're going to discuss later in the agenda. So I think, again, knowing this information, not for the 26, 27 budget, but for the for next year's budget process, I think is very valuable. I have some reservations about building it into next year's budget.
I mean, if I could, I appreciate those points, and they do make a ton of sense. I mean, if this were July 1 for next budget cycle, right, or March 1 for that matter, your budget outlay is actually net zero every year, and you start over every year with net zero, right? Except for year one, when truly your budget outlay that isn't net zero is $9,900 for shot clocks. If you don't want backboard lights, your budget outlay becomes $6,500. So it's net zero every year. It's completely net zero at the end of year 7 because of your last outlay. So we clear that up. So from a budgetary standpoint, I'm not questioning what you do with your budget or how you do your budget. Ultimately, it's $20,900 out and in the same budget cycle.
I appreciate those points. And I do appreciate the neutral, that you've made it kind of a neutral deal. I appreciate the avenue of the revenue streams and all of that. I think, from my point of view, I always leave it up to Mr. Weaver with the question, well, how does this impact us? What can't we do if we do this? And I just want to be really equitable to the other groups that don't have shot clock needs. Because I know we had a presentation from the baseball team about stands, and I guess for me, I'm still, as Mrs. Lofton pointed out, still thinking about the stadium and our turf in both fields. And so and we just redid the competition gym floor. We need bleachers for the competition gym. I keep thinking about all of these things, and individually they're not so much. And bleachers are not a revenue stream with advertising, for sure, but I just keep thinking of all of those little piecemeal. We talked about the fitness center wanting to have, updates done. So I just want to make sure that we're not spending money that, in terms of priorities, it's, I don't want to say jumping the line, because that's not the right way to say it, but I'm just being very candid about my point of view there.
Certainly appreciate that. I think in the whole scheme of things, the way that I look at it is the potential for that revenue from the advertising could actually help our budget in the future. Yeah, to help offset and pay for some of those things moving forward. So, and some of those other things, to your point, Ms. White, they're really large in cost.
Sure.
So they'll be covered with bond issues, which we've been talking about. So,
Of course, and that's another piece of the
Yes.
puzzle, right? And so and that's why I say I appreciate the way the math is outlaid here, because to me it makes a lot of sense. But I just want to be responsible in the priorities. So maybe if taking this information and looking at kind of the overall athletic nugget, you can maybe bring back to us for next month some ideas and show us, here are our priorities, this is what we're going to do, and this is where everything falls. I think that would be really helpful, especially with the new folks and Dr. Nicholson on board.
Okay.
Because I'd really like his perspective, just
Sure.
from your expertise historically.
So, to that point, I'm wondering, I know that we, on some of our larger issues, are looking to go to RFP. And when we do that and, start working with an architectural firm, I'm assuming that's something that we have to pay out of our unassigned fund balance, not that we wouldn't take a bond for any of the architecture work. It's only the actual construction that gets covered by the bond. Is that correct?
Yeah, so what we do is we actually have a fairly healthy budget in our balance in our capital reserve in the general fund, which we've built up over the number of years, which you were a major part of, and which Ms. White has been as well. And EJ is understanding and learning where we've gotten to that point in time. And so I would envision that those monies would go out, and then if and when we get to a bond issue, oftentimes what will happen is, from an accounting perspective, we'll take out those expenditures that already happened, and they will be covered by bond proceeds.
Oh, okay.
To wrap
Well-
it all up in one nice little package.
So I guess what I'm wondering is, when we had the bond presentation by Jamie Doyle, I guess, 2 months ago, it sounded like this currently is an advantageous environment for taking out bonds. And so even though we're not ready to take a bond for the large project that we've been discussing, and I'm imagining that's probably going to be a year out before we're ready for that, do we want to take a bond for work that needs to get done now?
So after the walkthrough that we did at the high school, we talked very, very briefly about that with Mr. Weaver. So that won't be part of our safety and ops conversation tonight, I don't believe. But I did ask for him to give us some sort of a larger scale perspective of what we might need and what chunks we might need it. And so he's prepared, I think, to do that in the Finance Committee of the whole, hopefully for March.
And one of the things, duly noted, I'll make a note.
Did you like my way of asking for it?
Yes. One of the things that we all understand is when we go to issue bonds, and again, this safety and operations, but when we go to issue bonds, we need a plan. We need to be able to show those people that are going to buy our bonds and those banks that are going to subsidize those, that we have a plan in place. And so as we work our way through that and we say, well, we might do this, we might do that, we've got option 2, we got option 3, then yeah. So when we say, okay, this is what we're doing, steps 1 through 25, they're like, hey, we're on board, we get it.
So I think, and Mrs. Lofton obviously has historical context for the bond issue, which I think is very helpful. But just to keep us moving on the safety and ops agenda, we'll put a pin in that. But I think what you're saying, Mr. Weaver, will be helpful for the new, this board with some context for March.
Okay, so just to clarify.
Yep.
We'll work out the details with the new contract and bring that back in March, safety and ops.
Correct.
Okay.
But just to the scoreboard,
I was talking about the scoreboard.
Oh, okay. It would be nice to have it approved prior to basketball season next year.
If we were to do it for next year.
Right, yes.
If we weren't going to
over the
wait.
summer, yeah, if, yes.
But either way, it doesn't need to be, I guess, it doesn't need to be on the agenda for approval of purchase in March. We
Correct.
still have a little bit of
Yeah.
time. Is
Okay.
everybody okay with that on the committee?
I guess that would be, there's kind of a, not a use it or lose it, but there's an inflection point relative to that. We should see what that installation inflection point relative to, no disruption or availability for basketball season would be. Like, is that,
Well, the lead time is 8 to 10 weeks from purchase order to installation.
so?
So that,
basketball
we'll leave
season
that up to
is-
Mr. Weaver and Mr.
That's what I mean, but
Felting.
it'd be helpful to see like when's the last time we can commit to this before we have to wait basically another year? And it'd be good to know that.
Well, yes, how long is the installation? Is it like installed in an afternoon? Or is it like we need the gym for 2 weeks?
I would conservatively say we need the gym for 1 week. We tend to travel and get on site and demo the existing boards on Monday, ideally. And then we start installation Tuesday, Wednesday. Best case scenario, we finish up Thursday morning, we train staff members, whoever needs to be trained. Worst case scenario, generally we're out on Friday. Adding backboard lights and shot clocks does add time to that, so I would be safe in telling you 1 school, 5 days of school. I would say, safe to say that. To Mr. McGuire's question on what's the, drop dead, I mean, the reality is from June until November is our busiest time, right? Obviously, when we're talking about outdoor boards, which we're not talking, everybody wants their stuff done in the summer. So summer is incredibly challenging. If you would say to me, we want to get this done over the summer, I would say to you, I need a contract by April 1st because we book up, right? So then while we can get you the product in 8 to 10 weeks, we can't get you crews to install it for 12 to 16, right? Same thing for in the fall with indoor installations. It's our bigger window, right? It's not to say that it won't get done. Everybody wants them done, right? When kids are out of the building.
That's the thing I want to caution.
Yeah.
It's like there's an inflection point in which if we don't make a decision, we're waiting a year. How long? Or like 9 months.
So actually, we would need to vote on it in March if we wanted it for,
Maybe April.
well, he said,
April would be the cutoff, right?
yeah.
For an indoor project, I would tell you April is way better than June or July. Just because of timing, you know.
Okay, we'll be back in March. Okay, all right. Thank you. Mr. Fabrizio.
Oh, you're doing such a wonderful job, Jim. All right, just an update for our South and Middle School East loops that Gilmore and Associates has been working on. So I've been pinging them pretty consistently, and they just responded back. Yeah, we're working on grant opportunities for other people. You have to wait some time. So they are working on it, chipping away at it. At the last meeting, we did see the Middle School East plans that they did present. So we're waiting for the South plans to come back so we can go out with one total package. So a couple weeks, I hopefully have an update for you, hopefully by the next meeting.
So that's from Gilmore's perspective. So once that comes back, then the townships get involved, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so that would be Trapp and Perkiomen?
No, it'd just be all yeah. Yes, Trapp and Perkiomen.
Okay, and so do they know, like, we put this out and it's coming and,
So I've spoken to John Moran about this previously, so
I guess maybe I'm less worried about John and,
yeah, I'll contact Trapp. Yeah.
thank you.
They're aware.
John,
When we had the
John's very
conversation last
responsive,
year.
right? So I just want to make sure, they are aware, okay.
Yeah, they work with, well, at the time, they worked with Barry Izett. I don't know who they work with now, but we talked to them when we first brought this up. Quick update on the window and door shade project. So we got the tally of all the interior spaces that we were talking about covering for the occlusion of view from the hallways into the classrooms in an emergency situation. I got a cost estimate from the vendor at about $37,000 for the district. So that's inclusive of all 7 educational buildings. So, what's that? It's not an exact price. There's a volume discount depending on where we go, including some of those places that we discussed that were challenging, such as the art area at Evergreen, cafeteria, libraries, things like that in some of the buildings. The larger you go, the more expensive, obviously, these coverings become because they're custom made at that point. So we're trying to get our contact to fit as many of these into their standard sizing, right? And just talking with a few of the principals about, would they prefer a split window, when they have a top and a bottom side light or something, or would they prefer one full one with some input from the vendor? And then the last thing we just need to confirm is, our CoStar's compliance or whatever program Mr. Weaver would, approve for that. So we're chipping away at it, and I would hope by this time next month we would have some solid numbers for you.
Okay, so would it be then premature to, see, so to me, this is a safety item, right? So this is, to me, like a higher priority district-wide to make sure that every room,
Right.
yeah, that there's an interruption of sightlines, right?
Right.
So I guess between now and, I know we're at the end of February, does this really need to come back to committee, or can this just go to the board once numbers are confirmed? I don't know if you have an opinion, or if Mr. Weaver has an opinion about that. And would it be in-house installation? That was, I guess, my other question.
We were planning on in-house installation, building by building. And it's not, most of it's adhesive, to be honest with you, so we're not talking about mechanical installation, if you will. So, I mean, my staff can certainly help with that too, so.
We just need to solidify numbers. I don't want to bring something in front of the school board without having confirmed backup, which we don't have yet. So we're still working on it.
That's totally understood. I guess my thought was, in times of timing, if we have a not to exceed number, for example, it gives you some autonomy to be able to not have to wait an entire month too. So I don't know if that was something that you would consider, or, I mean, whatever your recommendation is, I would like to hear, but I just don't want you to have to wait until we're physically together in order to move it forward
Yeah,
if it's
I
going
think-
to be something that we want to pursue.
A not to exceed number is perfectly fine as long as the board understands that, and then we've got our direction. That would
Does,
help.
does anyone have any questions on this matter?
So the coverings, are they like triggered by a switch or?
No,
Oh,
it's
you
a
just pull it
it's a
down.
roll,
Okay.
it's basically a
it's-
rolled shade,
Okay.
black rolled shade, adhered by Velcro.
Okay.
You pull the leash, I call it, because it's a long tab on it, and they drop right
Got
down. They're
it.
weighted
Okay,
on the
So it's like
bottom.
a blind, so it's not like the electronic.
No, it's
No, 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 it's not.
No, you know the ones where like
Yeah, not like
they're, okay, great. Yeah, I
Maybe
was
we
like,
could,
"Ooh."
if you could throw a photo on the slide, maybe
Oh,
we could
that's-
bring it
I
in March.
believe we had one in a previous
did.
presentation.
That's fine,
Yep.
I
I'm
can
just
pull it up.
curious. And then, so like for windows like that, would there be, are we getting coverings for all the windows? Like who's responsible for those?
So the
kinds
way
of
that this
windows?
came up, just for context, Mrs. Lofton, is that in certain areas of certain buildings,
Mm-hmm.
there are no out of the sight line places to bring a collective class. So some classes you would pull during a safety drill, you would pull around the side and tuck in.
Got it, okay.
But there's still a sight line into the classroom. So every room has either doors like this with these 3 windows. This, like the learning lab door has windows in it, so even if you're in the learning lab, there's a clear sight, there's nowhere to hide
Yeah.
in the learning lab, because there's this window, there's the doors,
yeah,
there's
yeah,
windows
yeah,
on the other
yeah,
side. So that's where this all came about, was the fact that there was no way to block those sight lines. And
then-
so that was a concern.
And this says nothing about the external windows, this is the only.
No, this
internal-
is internally first. Now, there
Okay.
is a product that I've been looking at externally. So if you picture a wrap on a bus, for example, they put an advertisement on. When you're sitting in the bus, you don't even know that wrap exists. You can see out, but the outside can't see. And that's something for windows in larger spaces, whether it's large windows like these into the hallway, the exterior windows here in the library, whatever it might be. And we can decide how best to deploy them. But we have a contact for that as well. So we're doing this, we
Okay.
call this phase 1.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
So we'll move that forward with a not to exceed. Okay, moving forward, just to bring to closure here for the various grants that we've been working on. The PCCD grant, the total is $188,665. That is part of the state budget as proposed, and we understand from our professional organizations, it will be passed as part of the budget because it's safety, which is really good for us. This particular grant, we're splitting $94,665 for cameras that basically address our blind spots that we know we have, and that would be a Genetec system through our PSX and co-stars, which we've done and upgraded through conversation with Mr. Ganesh in technology, Mr. Fabrizio in operations, and Mr. Miller for the police. The other portion of that will be $94,000 for the mental health portion of the grant. I've actually sat down with both Mr. Fabrizio to enter his portion of the safety grant into the system itself and PCCD. I've also sat down with Ms. Aducci as well for her to enter her various information in as well. We're about ready to finalize the budgetary items and numbers in that grant and then move forward with it. Again, this is fairly normal for us to split this grant. It is a mental health and safety grant. And so this is what we're recommending moving forward. There will be a movement for placement onto the March school board agenda to approve this at the board level as part of the process. This will be a ratification actually, because it's actually due on 2/27. So it is due before we actually have a March presentation. Yes, Mrs. Lofton.
For the full-time mental health counselor, I'm assuming this is a one-time grant, but then we're hiring somebody that becomes an ongoing part of our staff. So is this a recurring grant opportunity? I don't remember the PCCD. grant. So are we going to just hire somebody for 1 year, or what's the plan around that?
I'll need to look into that a little more, Mrs. Lofton. And I will report out in the notes.
Is there a date that they're going to be responding back by? I don't know if they commit to that or not.
So this is non-competitive. All we need to do is file on a timely basis, which we will submit on 2/27, and then we'll have board ratification. And then it's non-competitive, so that means essentially once we file all the requirements, then we're good to go. But we will get an approval letter, an official approval letter, but yes.
So just going back to, you know, we, just like we have many capital projects needs, we also have many competing staffing needs. And so I don't know that, you know, it'd be wonderful to bring somebody in this role, but I'm not sure that we've had the discussion of, is that the most important role? And if we don't know that it's going to be, can you just tell me a little bit about this grant opportunity? Is this a Pennsylvania grant opportunity?
It is.
Is this something that comes up every year?
So this is part of the state budget. The, this grant has been in the state budget for the past 4 years. And it is developed and calculated through a base of every school district gets $100,000, and then another variable, which is weighted average daily membership. So that's how we ended up with $188,000. And so every year, it has been part of the past 4 years of the governor's budget, and it has been approved.
And have we received the grant
Yes.
every year for the past 4 years?
Yes, we have.
Okay, so this is sort of something that we anticipate having come to us on an ongoing basis?
Well, coming off of the fact that the state budget wasn't approved until November, that we didn't know. So
there's
that's
that.
why we're kind of late. And remember, it's a grant for this year. So it's just extremely late because the state budget wasn't approved until November.
So we're going to hire a mental health counselor?
So-
No,
No,
it's
no,
contracted
we have
services.
we
Oh,
have
it's
time to spend.
contracted
I have,
services.
I
Okay.
have experience with the PCCD grant in my prior district, and while I haven't specifically spoken to Ms. Aducci about this grant, it would be typical that it would be a contracted service, so it would be an outside provider contracted for a specific time frame.
Not
It would not
taking
be
it on.
bringing on a new employee to Perkins Valley School District on an ongoing basis. It would be a one-year contract for that individual to provide services. And then if this grant is no longer available in the future, we would just not contract with that.
Reassess.
Right,
Perfect.
correct.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Nicholson.
Want me to answer the question about the deadline?
Yeah.
It's already there.
I do have one possibly dumb question. Is it superior to have one traveling resource or 4 permanent part-time resources? And can they even contract that way? Because if it's one person per 4 buildings with whatever, either 4 days a week and then a 5th day, whatever, or traveling versus 4 permanent part-time resources, I don't know what's more advantageous. I assume that's more advantageous because that's what's presented.
Sure, and I can't speak for the specific provider. I would say finding part-time providers of this nature is more difficult. Right, correct. Somebody,
The willingness to take on a part-time position.
right,
when
most
you're
counselors would be
full-time.
looking for a full-time position within the district. And then we could lean on that same person and know who to call in a crisis situation or when needed, that person would be able to report to any of the 4 rather than a rotating basis or someone part-time at each building.
So that, here's the,
So we can verify the timeline for the approval of this grant. Chief Miller dug up that it might be sometime in early June for approval. Again, not quite sure how this is going to work because sometimes they extend these deadlines, sometimes they approve them as you go along, and that might just be the last date that they're going to approve them. I'm not sure. So we'll move forward and confirm that date. So we will have this on the March board agenda for approval. Moving forward to the much bigger DCED grant. We had a couple of different options that we reviewed from a team perspective. One was the asbestos tiles removed from the second floor of the high school. The other item was as we dug into it, is a much more complicated issue, which is the replacement of the PA system, clocks, and so forth. We did meet several times. We brought Mr. Ganesh in, Mr. Fabrizio as well, went through the process with Mr. Miller as well. And we believe that our best direction here with this particular DCED grant is the removal of the asbestos tiles. Total project is about $1.73 million that we will actually request, of which it is a 25-75 split. So the grant will cover 75% of that cost. We must cover 25% of that cost, which equals about $432,000. Remember, this is an estimate. We still need to go through procurement processes to properly bid this. We could use a procurement platform as well, but right now, to meet the criteria of the grant, we just need to get information in there about that. This due date is March 13th, 2026, so we have time to get this on for the school board agenda, so we've got a little bit of time with this.
This will show in March, though, right?
Yes, yes.
This is March.
And this one is competitive. So the last competitive one 2 years ago that we did get, that took a long time for us to get approval on. So we're waiting. It could be 6 to 8 months until the state reviews them all, that gets back to us, because it depends upon the number of people that apply, their reviewing process, and when they can actually get back to their approvals.
So that nugget, the 432, is that something that we would envision wrapping into a bond?
Or utilize capital reserve in the general fund monies as well. And one of the criteria for the DCED, which is different than the PCCD, because the money is so large and there is a requirement for the 25% match, there is actually a resolution that the board must approve that says, hey, if you approve this grant, we will commit $432,500 to this program. Yeah.
It's an actual dollar figure
It is.
approved, not a percentage?
It is an actual,
Okay.
it's 25% of, and we actually
of the
list.
award.
Yes.
Got it.
But the actual bid process might come in a little bit less or a little bit more, and then we're still stuck on that 25%.
Okay, understood.
Okay, and we'll move forward, presuming the committee's okay with that. This is an opportunity. It's highly competitive. We were blessed that we got the first one a couple of years ago. We did not get the first couple of rounds, so we were happy that we were actually got that round. So we'll move that forward. Okay, high school project update. Mr. Fabrizio.
Thank you, Mr. Weaver. Mr. Weaver and I have been working on gathering materials for an RFP, which have been verified by Mr. Subers and his legal team. We hope that hits the streets tomorrow. 6 firms will be sent the RFP for their review, and the deadline for the response is March 30th of this year.
March 30th. So
Yes.
6 weeks.
Yeah. During that time, while we're waiting, we're going to create a team with some milestones, get that together for everyone's review, and some sort of scoring rubric to, validate the architect's presentations. We will be taking the highest scoring 3 firms. We can discuss that at more detail and generate an official scope of work between the architectural firm and, of course, the legal team. And hope to have this for board approval in May or June time frame. So
My question is, are you, I don't want to interrupt you. Go ahead.
nope, you're good.
I just was going to ask, with regards to the team, what stakeholders are you looking? Principals? Are you looking for? Who are you having weigh in? What is your team?
So that's a good question. That's part of the discussion tonight that we have to get out. We have Joe and I, we've recruited Dr. Nicholson, whether he likes it or not. And some variation of some school board members. We'd love that.
Dr. Fuller.
Dr. Fuller, of course.
Yep.
And eventually, I think at some point in time, school board members, then we can figure out if we want someone else from the community to join. That we have to figure out. At what point in time do we bring the community in? Because there's going to be an awful lot of way where we have to give direction that gets put into a package that then we can design and look at that with the winning architect.
Yeah, I guess with regards to approving, you know, who ends up prevailing,
Yep.
it's, until that moment, you're really kind of deep in the weeds of shaking out the monies and the timing and the you know, all of that. So at that point, I would think external stakeholders would maybe
Fine.
make more sense. Only because there's no commitment made to any one of the firms until there is,
Right.
right? So that to me is what I was thinking, but I do think with regards to, obviously the RFP is prescriptive in a certain way, but you're not going to necessarily get completely apples to apples answers. So that's, unless you're familiar with looking at RFPs coming back to you, that takes a little bit of a, it's a little bit of a lift. It's not just a bottom line number all the time,
Absolutely.
right? So
Yep.
I guess, you know, in terms of expertise or weigh-in, I think those players that you just mentioned would be the most important ones to have in the room.
I would encourage as many school board members as possible. Then we've got to have a nighttime meeting. We do envision the rubric, you know, quick presentations, hand out materials beforehand, make sure everybody has them so they can review them. What do you like? What do you not like? Your past experiences could be, I don't know, mostly elementary schools. We're looking at a high school. Who knows what we're going to get back? But these are some pretty good firms that we're looking at. We've taken information from our county, my county colleagues, as well as some other, like Dr. Nicholson, some people that they may have looked at as part of their process as well. So that's where we're going to.
And so I'm assuming as part of the response for proposal that you want to make sure that there's some sort of a line item or a caveat as to what the potential initial outlay, if any, would be, and whether or not it would be offset by award, or if, in other words, these are free proposals to kind of throw their hat in the ring, and then they would essentially, upon award, they would then
We
get
would
paid.
enter into negotiations on an
That's
architectural
correct.
contract.
So I don't
yes.
know, is that part of your RFP to provide if there's a cost associated with performing a site walk or, you know, services associated with that?
Yeah, Mr. Subers was pretty clear with that. Yeah, yep.
So my other question is, and I imagine this might be after we contract with an architectural firm, but at what point might you be bringing in like the band, orchestra, chorus teachers, or
That's
the
what I was
music?
after that.
Yeah, so that's that, and like the
We've awarded,
athletic.
now what do we need to do?
And then, once we, and I'm just wanting to make sure I understand this process correctly, once we have a contract with an architectural firm, there's still opportunity to say, well, actually, what we really need is blah, 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 blah.
I'm so
Right.
sorry. I was just going to say, generally, the way that the RFPs that have worked in my professional experience is that you get a couple of passes. So there'll be like an initial meeting where there's, this is what we're looking to do, this is what we're looking to accomplish. It'll be very wide overarching. They're going to come back with a first pass, and then maybe you would get like, say, I would say maybe 2 would be nice, if we could have that be thrown into the RFP process, that you get 2 sets of revisions, or you get, because inevitably you're going to say what you want and they're going to give you what they think you want. And so then there's going to be a revision process associated with that. No, you missed the mark, but it costs money to develop drawings, of course, and so you obviously want to be respectful in a partnership, but at the same time, yeah.
I just want
Is
to
that
make
your
sure that,
experience as well, Dr. Nicholson?
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. Usually part of the presentation, part of the rubric is their vision for how it will work once awarded to that firm, right? So what is their vision for bringing in external stakeholders, for bringing in internal stakeholders, for working through the different iterations of design through that entire process, and to your point, what's the cost for all that? Is it a flat fee based on the total construction at the end, or are there pieces of the pie along the way per drawing, per what have you? So I think that's all part of that approval process. Once we have the proposals back, we'll have a good idea of this is what we're looking for and this is what fits our bill.
And it almost is really like an interview process, just as much as it is a proposal for cost analysis, because frankly, I mean, six firms, there's 3 that are going to be high scoring based on a rubric, how it worked or not. And the fact of the matter is that not every RFP response will be like a good fit for PV, because not everybody's as responsive to collaboration or input, or, you know, an architect may say, well, this is what I do, and this is, you know, to Mr. Weaver's point, well, I do elementary schools, or I do college campuses. It's just not always a right fit.
And then I imagine Mr. Subers has guided us as far as what we need to do as far as putting out RFPs for professional services, and because we don't have to worry about like low bid kind of any requirements or anything like that.
No, these are professional services, so we can.
Okay, it's professional services. We don't have to worry. Okay.
With the vendors that you're going out to, the 6 vendors, have we not worked with any of them ever?
No, that's not what he said.
We have worked with one who was a main builder of many of our campus buildings
Okay.
in the early 2000s. The others have been recent awardees,
Locally.
local, yes.
Okay, but we've only worked with one of the 6 potential candidates previously.
Yes, now we haven't done a major project like this.
No, I'm just curious if how much of new territory from a relationship standpoint.
I mean, I think since 2011, it's been mostly Giza's, so it's been mostly like a CM3 thing. So we haven't gone through a real process for an architect.
Cool. Okay.
Like we're planning, like this will drive through us for 15 years. So, and that's why it's open if the board, and it could change if the team reviews things and says, you know what, one person, we all agree on one of those architects, then that phase is done. We'll move forward and try to hammer out a contract. If, however, oh, we've got 2 or 3 that we really like, you know, that kind of stuff, that's great. We'll bring them back in. We'll task them, as Dr. Nicholson said, with maybe some additional things. Laura mentioned, all right, revise what you've provided, and, you know, take a look at this wing a little bit better than this wing or something like that, and then bring it back to us. And then at that point in time, then we can do another evaluation.
So just to add, I've worked with one of them for 16 years at Chester County IU, so I know one of the firms fairly well and their capabilities. So not the same one as Mr. Weaver.
And firms change.
Yeah.
Firms change. So the firms that we used before, many of those people are now in other firms. So it might, you know,
What I didn't want to hear was, oh yeah, we went to the same 6 people we always go to. That's
No.
what I didn't want to hear. So
no, we took input from a lot of different places and people. I'll show you the coffee stain list. I have it right
Oh,
back
that's
there.
what that's
Yeah,
from.
I do.
No, it's a big spill.
I think my hand was out of control after too much coffee. I just thought I'd tell you. All right, so
You saw dollar
if
figures.
we're good
and you
with
started
that, then
throwing
this,
things in? Is that what you saw? Is that what happened?
maybe. And again, as Laura pointed out, eventually we'll have some sort of a plan design then with an estimate. Then we take to Jamie. Now, we'll be working with Jamie all along. Hey, Jim, what are you guys looking at? We'll have some conversations on the side. So she'll be ready to go with her team to come in and say, okay, here's what it looks like. This is what we need 3 years of bonds. And then work the millage in.
So that's actually what I was just about to say. So as part of the return, obviously there's a broad scope of start to completion, right? Ribbon cutting, for lack of a better explanation. But it may take, you know, years 1 and 2, this is what we're doing. Years 3 and 4, this is what we're doing. Years 5 and 6. So it may actually not, it's not like everything is going to happen in one summer, I guess is.
Absolutely not.
Right.
And we gave 4 priority areas.
Right.
And, you know, things on the outside without students, that's not as difficult as things on the inside of the building with students. And we've done that in the past, and that's been difficult.
Are you able to share the priority areas that are incorporated into the bid?
Those would be the 4 areas that we talked about before.
Okay.
So that is the.
So I have 1, 2,
It
3,
is this-
4, 5, 6 bullet points
So this,
on my
it
list.
is the library
Uh-huh.
and safety vestibule areas.
Right? That's
It-
one.
Yeah, okay, that is, and the second one is the arts area.
Okay.
The third one is essentially the right side of the building.
Yep.
Essentially the left side of the building
Main office
for,
area.
for.
Oh, the main office, that would be number
For the
3.
wrestling room, fitness center, that kind of
Sure,
thing.
sure.
And then the office area.
That would be number 4.
Yes.
Okay, so you just consolidated.
Yep.
Cool. I just want to make sure we didn't miss anything.
Okay? Well, and at the end of the day, when we see it, we might say, well, yes, yes. But that's the whole purpose. It's almost like a feasibility study. Is, we're gonna go through the process and say, is it feasible for us to do X, Y, and Z, and what's the cost? And we might look at that and say, well, okay, maybe we need to rethink it.
So I recall in the past, we've had a lot of discussion about our permeable surface area. And are we asking the architects to address that? Have we been in conversations with Perkiomen Township? Well, if we're gonna
I
blow
guess that
out
would
a
only,
wall
I get,
and
y'all,
make
that
it
was gonna,
bigger,
if the footprint would change,
if
that
we're
would, it
changing
would
the
apply, but.
footprint and then we're changing the amount of permeable surface area, are we asking our architects to comment on that? Do we need to grind up paved areas somewhere else? Like, have we talked to Perkiomen Township about getting a variance? Like, and when does that come into play in our process?
So that's definitely part of the process that the architect will address in their design and plan. I guess in general, we've had conversations with the township, but they're gonna say, well, what are you doing? And we're gonna say, well, we don't know yet. Yeah, yeah. Which is great. Ms. Way, I'll defer to you. If we want all 9 board members, that's great. Seriously, because we've got to all drive it together as a team. If you'd rather just have a couple of select individuals to join the team, that's fine. I'm not recommending a team size. I'm just saying we need to.
So I'll talk to Dr. Russell about
Yeah.
putting something in the memo then, and then we can or you can talk to her. Jim. And then we could consolidate.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome.
Thank
Any other
you.
questions on that? I'm excited about that. Yeah, good.
It's a lot of work to do.
It's not an easy process. It's not putting some kitchen cabinets in.
Correct.
Yeah.
I did. All right. My favorite part, paving. So to continue with our investment in safe macadam, I'm recommending Skipback and Schwanksville paving projects this summer, which would also coincide with our alarm panel replacements because the buildings will not be occupied, so it'll be prime time. Skipback is a total repave. As you know, last year we did the playground in the back, so that part is done. The remaining part in green is pretty much the whole teacher lot. It's everything but the playground. This includes the C-tops, line striping, milling out base and top. So we're looking at a price of around $267,000 on CoStars. And then to further that
Hold on,
along,
just 1 second. Just to let you know, we do have funding available to us in the capital project reserve in the general fund that we can use to pay for that.
and then next slide, please. And then Schwanksville is pretty bad. Again, last year we did their playground, so this will be focusing mainly on the teacher lot and the front bus loop there. About 182,000. Again, CoStar's pricing through Saks and Sons. Do I have any questions on that?
Is Schwanksville less intensive than Skipback?
It's a smaller area, it looks
Or is
like.
it just less?
It's
area?
yeah, less area.
So same amount of work, less work to do.
Yeah.
So can you just quickly refresh, just for the record? So this is Skip Back in Schwanksville. Last year, we did here,
Yeah, we did the student lot.
we did the student lot, we did the teacher lot.
Teacher lot.
We did not do West,
We did Evergreen kindergarten area.
right?
We did Skip Back Playground,
Yep.
District
South,
Office.
South Playground.
South? No,
Evergreen Playground. Evergreen Playground.
just the kindergarten playground.
Oh, I thought
Yeah.
we did, I
And
thought
the-
we did South when they finished up. Maybe that was the year
No.
maybe that was the year prior, not
Yeah,
last year.
South would be 27, 28, that's coming.
Oh, okay, there's a
We
second.
have to do some.
I was trying to remember
drain
what
work
we
there.
did so far, and then, that's what I was
Yeah.
getting at, is what's left then after
Yeah,
this.
so what's left is the frog lot here. We have south is a total repave, and we have to do some work out front because we have hydrostatic pressure pushing through.
Wouldn't south coincide?
It would
with-
wrap into the whole
The whole-
loop and all that.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Joe,
we're holding
do
on.
you remember, I'm all turned around, it's over here, I think. There's like the retention wall coming out, remember we looked at it?
Yeah.
Does that has nothing to do and can't be solved in the paving, is that,
No, that's concrete work.
okay. I know that's out of context, but where are we with that? Because that seemed like it was a structural issue.
It's on my list.
Okay.
It's not going anywhere.
That's the answer I was looking for, okay.
Oh, my laptop died here. Okay, here we go. Any questions on Skip Back or Schwanksville paving? Do we have a recommendation to move that
What
forward?
was the two pave list? You said the frog lot, but then you changed it.
And south.
And south. So west is recently done too?
West would probably be 27, 28.
That's what I mean in general, like, and then, the same would be true of east with that change, with that whole big project. Will we repave that as well?
Yeah, east is pretty fresh.
Okay, east
Yeah.
is recent enough. So even with that project, that would just be
Yeah.
those pieces.
Yeah.
So west, I have to coincide with a chiller replacement because I don't want to bring in a super heavy crane on, kind of like here on fresh blacktop.
Like we did.
Like we did here, we had to get the big crane in
Got
and
it.
then do the paving. So
Got it.
we don't want to disturb that.
And what
Fresh
is the
asphalt.
frog lot?
In the back.
Where the frogs
going up
go.
towards east,
Yeah.
left side, up against the athletics.
Oh, okay.
That's what I was told it was called.
Have we looked at, I just remember at one point, like after Campus Drive was paved and then like the next year, the
The water company dug it
water
up.
came and ripped it up. Are we coordinating to make sure that any digging that might be happening doesn't happen right after we repave something?
They did fix it.
Yeah, I made them repave
Okay.
the whole width.
Okay.
They just wanted to do a little part. I'm like, So
Right, well, yeah,
they
okay.
were nice. We got them to repave that whole width. But as far as I know, we don't have any infrastructure upgrades to current facilities that would dig up our asphalt.
Okay, fantastic.
Grease trap, we did that. We're good on that.
And are we comfortable with the adequacy of our existing parking lots for these buildings?
I'm sorry, the existing what?
The adequacy of the existing parking lots, we're just going over the same footprint that already exists, and are we happy with what we have? Yeah,
Yeah, we're pretty much landlocked in these situations. Yeah.
yeah, I just figured I'd ask the question, I know that sometimes it can be really challenging to park in some of these areas.
Yeah, I will tell you that if you talk to the high school people, they want more parking, but.
Well,
yeah.
and so you just, or the frog lot is on the to-do list? Is that what you said?
Down the road, yeah.
Okay.
It's not in too bad a shape, but booking
Because-
down, it'll have to be redone at some
Well,
point.
one thing that I've thought about when I've sat and looked at the maps and thought, where on earth can we put more parking, is if we're able to expand and get some sort of a variance regarding the permeable surface area, can that frog lot be widened so you have more rows of for parking where that frog lot is.
Or along a curb?
So you would have to put a pretty big retaining wall in to bump that out towards the main road?
Well,
Or
I
would
guess
you
I'm
take up
wondering,
the
going
athletic
into that
fields?
field, now that we have the turf and we, I don't know how often that specific space needs to be used or if there's any way to adjust that, because that was one, when thinking about where can we park
Yeah, we
or
can
add more
certainly
parking.
look at that.
I'm just curious if that's ever an opportunity.
Yeah, we need to tap into Mr. Felty about that.
Yeah.
Like his space-wise, so.
Okay.
I do have just one last question on that previous slide. So that front loop right up to the right, that's the front door, and then there's the driveway down to the street. Why is that not included on the shade? I don't know, that's what I'm asking.
That's not in bad shape.
It's okay, okay, okay. I just was curious if it, okay, that's fine.
Now, I do know the nursing home was for sale. We don't
Interesting.
want that. It's asbestos in it.
It'd have to be, it would have to be leveled.
Knocked down.
Yeah, it would have to be leveled. That's actually a much better location than that other parcel that we were over here. Okay, all right, just stick a pin on that, don't.
Next slide, please. So, I was toying with the idea, since we're ripping out all of the restroom partitions at, oh, hi Dave, at Middle School East, to do the floors while we're there. So I did bring out a company called Stonehard, and they do like an epoxy coating, and they can go, they prep our existing floors and go over. So it's like a monolithic pour on the new surface. Yeah, and then they'll wrap it up about 6 inches up the wall. The problem I'm foreseeing is when we change out these partitions, they're not like for like. So we're going with like an HDPE, like a heavy duty, like plastic panel that can't rust. And the footprint may change. So when we take those, partitions out that anchor to the floor, we're going to have, they're not going to line up when we put the new ones back. So entertaining the idea, and if we could find the funds for it to do these new floors in the bathrooms, as well as put a fresh coat of paint on as well. So the bathrooms are like brand new, ready to go.
And this would only be at East?
Yeah.
Step one would be East?
I did get a price for the high school as well, and
Yeah.
but that's more than 60,000.
Sure,
So we could maybe wrap that into the bigger project here, possibly.
yeah, that's
At some point.
that's actually why I was asking,
Yeah.
because I feel like these bathrooms are older than those bathrooms, but timing-wise, it may,
Yeah.
right, or not right.
So this east, we're tackling this summer, the
Yeah, yeah.
partitions. Yeah. Here, we can wrap it into the larger project.
So the recommendation is because of the footprint, and since we're doing the partitions, we really should be doing the floor at the
If
same
we
time.
can, yeah. So,
I'd rather do that right the first time.
And we're already committed to doing those partitions
Correct.
now? Okay.
yeah, that was already approved. We're full speed ahead on that. So,
Okay, well,
for this
then
summer.
it makes sense to do it at the same time, yeah.
Would you like to see this in March then?
If possible, yes.
If Jim's all right with
If
that,
Jim's okay with that.
unless there's other questions.
Yeah. I mean, as long as Mr. Fabrizio is good with it, I'll support it.
Thank you. The hardest part's gonna be picking the color. But,
Oh,
I'll
wow.
talk to Mr. DeAndrea about that.
I was about to say, I'm sure Mr. DeAndrea has ideas. He wants aqua,
Dover white.
aqua. Or we could do like throwback, we could do teal and pink, like,
No.
oh, you want it to be orange? All right.
I'm thinking like a gray, not too light, but like on the floor there. Yeah, and something neutral.
Lame. All right, we'll come up with a subcommittee to look at paint swatches. We can lay them out.
Notate it.
Noted, yeah, write that down, Jim. All right, good stuff.
Committee of one. There you go. Okay, so we'll move that forward in March then.
Okay, and the last one is my annual grass cutting request to help us out in the summer for Skip Back Southwest in Schwanksville. The same 4 we did this year, same company, 25 cuts. The price went up about $3,000 from last year. It's Green Ridge Landscaping, and they're on CoStars.
Have you gotten any other estimates?
Yeah, so this went out to bid last year.
Okay.
And Green Ridge was the most responsible, lowest bidder, actually.
Isn't it a painful thing? It's painful. It gets me every year. It
That's-
does. There's just so much money.
And we don't do, I thought we did our grass cutting in-house.
We do, we do
This is the
a majority of it.
Oh, so, because we have 10-month employees?
Well, no, it's
We just can't keep up.
volume. So I will just put in my little pitch about making maybe like areas of pollinator gardens again. Wouldn't that be good? Pollinator
I would
gardens.
ask that
at
Dr.
West?
Clune would certainly help you out with that.
Excuse me?
Dr. Clune would certainly help you
Well,
with that.
at West specifically, I think, I mean, Mrs. Emmers has really a nice way about creating spaces. So I
sure.
understand there's a balance, but there are areas of West that have cut grass, which are really not even trafficked. Like especially that front area.
The front right side, yes. In the
Well, I was
back,
thinking of the left,
they
but
just
yeah.
planted about 500 trees. What do they call it? Riparian buffer in the back. They did about 500 trees, but a majority of the space at West is open fields.
And
Not
they
all-
use the fields.
Yeah,
But there's so much,
but
to
we
your
cut
point,
the
in
fields.
between those fields, it's not like it is here on East.
And-
There's like a field between each field.
And up
Yeah.
on the street side.
Yeah.
Both on the right and the left, that's all cut grass. The medians
Yes.
are all cut grass.
Yeah, but the kids play out front.
They play by the building, but not towards the street. Let me tell you, you drive 15 minutes to get to West every single day for 3 years, and you notice the fields. So I guess I think we should still have conversation about that, just because we don't need brown grass. It's not like we have sprinkler systems out front spraying, right? So, just my thought on the pollinator gardens, yeah.
I'm just curious if the idea of kind of wild reclamation, I wonder if there are grants to actually support that.
Are you
Not-
volunteering to research?
You, I gotta know. Just a suggestion. But that's an active agenda, right? Like, you know,
Yeah, I can certainly talk to Dr. Clune and Mrs. Emmers up at West and see if they have any ideas on creating those spaces and where we could possibly fit them.
well, across all the district buildings, really. I mean, to your
That's the
point.
largest area.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just curious where the 50K gets allocated in terms of the geography, or is it ambiguous?
No, I have a breakout per building. I can send you that if you'd like to see it.
I'm just
Yeah.
wondering if there's like one that's the target, maybe it's west, maybe that's where we target an
Right.
alternative.
If you eliminate these areas, what will it
Yeah,
cost?
because if this is a recurring cost that also grows by, what was it,
$3,000?
7% every year? That's rough versus something that you
Well,
pay for
it's-
once and,
But it's gasoline, it's of course, it's like a whole
oh
thing,
yeah,
right?
but at that kind of growth rate, it's like,
Right.
versus any other investment.
I just think it helps work smarter, not harder. It's
So
pretty
skip back, just to put this in perspective, skip back is 22,000. South is 6750. West is 13,000, and Schwanksville's 7,800.
Wait, I'm sorry.
That's the.
Yes, because they're cutting all the fields at Skipback.
Oh, the baseball fields?
Does Lower Perk share that cost with us?
Lower Perk cuts their fields, their infields.
But what
Okay.
about the outfields?
Well, it's fenced in, so they cut their whole.
So, okay, when you said, okay.
Yeah.
Um,
So at West, we cut our soccer fields. The contractor cuts up along the building, out front. We maintain all the athletic fields.
So do we
And we're still there 3 days to cut West. I mean, it's no joke.
need to cut 25 times? I mean,
Yes.
in the middle of July?
So no, given this schedule, we're allowed to scale back. I have the ability in our contract to call up and say, hey, Green Ridge, I need you to skip this week, and we won't get billed for that. This is
Okay,
worst case
right.
scenario.
So it's like when it's 100 degrees out for
Right.
a month,
get a dry
you don't
summer.
need
Yeah.
to, yeah. But I'm just saying, like, in the middle of July when there's nobody's renting the
No, we do
fields.
skip cuts, and we did last
Okay,
year.
okay.
All right, thank you. So that's March 2, right? Brad?
Yeah. And that concludes our presentation.
All right.
Okay, any other questions?
I
Ms.
want
White?
to just hit back to make sure we didn't miss anything from January. Raptor. How's the new SPO part-time working out?
He's here.
Our candidate withdrew his application.
Womp womp. So that's back at square one.
Yeah, so we re-advertised right away. Mr. Moran and
Okay.
I are working on it.
So that's a part-time SPO.
Right.
Need,
I have a question. Whatever happened, we had some discussion in the fall about that access route for East. Is that,
At the beginning, it's still being,
oh, okay, I totally,
still being
We're
reviewed.
waiting. We're waiting for Gilmore and Associates to finish the south plan, and we're going to combine everything into one package for presentation.
There was only one slide on it, but it was for both sides.
oh, south and
South Loop.
East.
the south loop. Okay, I did not recognize that East was a part of that. I'm still not seeing it.
It's on slide 10
Slide 10.
for this.
No,
South Loop and Gilmore Associates.
Ms. Lofton is looking for east, east.
That was on
That was
last month's
that was last
presentation.
month's presentation.
Okay, can you
Yeah.
tell me what the outcome was?
They're tied together.
Oh, okay.
So they did, if you go back, they did present, I think there's a slide in there, they have an alternate route and then the main route as an option.
Okay.
And then we don't have any figures yet, they're still working on that, and we'll present as a package once.
And is the plan to do that as like a gravel path only used in cases of emergency, or?
It's still gonna be egress, emergency only, yeah.
Okay, okay.
And I said, suggest it like a pervious paver type thing, like a fire lane grid type system. So we can still have, the grass grow through or whatever we put in there, and still support the weight of vehicles and not interfere with, the arboretum.
and then we talked about cameras, right? In that area? Okay.
So actually, if that's a material that one can work with, I'm wondering if something like that, can that be, if and when we redo the frog lot and we want to create more pervious surface, can the frog lot be expanded with that type of material? Why is this funny?
Why is it called a frog lot?
It looks like a frog.
It looks like a
I
frog.
don't know, because it's like a body and it's got little arms that stick out.
You can suggest a change, call it the intermediate lot or something.
All right, so
We
EJ is
can call
going
it
to work on
Hilltop.
grant,
We're gonna call it
grant research and
Other
also
people call it
renaming
Hilltop.
things. So we put those two things on your things. Yeah, totally workshop it.
I'm gonna find a grant.
I think that's a good suggestion, though. If you do the one, that would be a good overflow parking situation.
Make that a larger lot and have it with the surface, so grind it up so that we can not count that as part of our paved surface.
Right.
And then have that be something that people can pick up.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right. He'll add it to the
We
list.
have two beautiful turf fields.
That could be a turf field. This concludes our presentation.
Wait, clock, paging, bell. We didn't talk about that. Is it still?
I have a working demo I'll be bringing over to Dr. Fuller tomorrow,
Beautiful.
so he can check it out, play around. I created a bell schedule for
Oh.
the high school.
Great.
And it scares the crap out of my secretary every day when it dings off.
That means it works good. Fantastic. Okay, so will we see that in March safety?
Not yet. We're still working, there's a lot to it, so we're working
Okay.
through.
Well, I know you talked about
Like-
Mr. Ganesh needing to talk about
The big DCED grant, we kind of recognize this is a big project. So
Okay.
Joe's kind of plugging away by
Okay.
himself and bringing Carthage.
Because I
in.
do think that will bring value to the building as a
Absolutely.
whole, and I think that, I know it's a separate lane, but
Yeah.
it's another one of the important ones.
And as we talked about, it's a safety issue too.
Well, and that's exactly, so again,
Yes.
to go full circle and not to belabor the shot clock thing.
It's only 10,000.
Next meeting is March 19th. Thank you.
March 9th, and we are done. Thank you so much, sir. Good work.